hey, let's do some car talk, which isn't about cars, it's about books, because I know nothing about cars, but I'm in a car, sitting in a car talking. There. I was thinking about reviews lately because I just recently read a small ebook by an indie author, which I really didn't like. And I ranted about it and I did a kind of review, but it's not the kind of review that I probably will release widely generally into the wild, just because it feels like I'm punching down, in a way, which, is tough, but it's one of these things it's probably a book that there's probably not that terribly many reviews out of, and me ranting about how I found it an amateurish kind of fan fiction-y book, isn't going to do the author any favors, isn't going to do me any favors, and I feel like I'm stating the obvious actually with the book. There's something about, if I'd found the book and if it was infinitesimal, no one had ever heard of it, and it was published basically by the author, as an ebook, and it was great. It was a great book. Then that would be like a discovery. But me to state that, hey, I found a book that was probably published by the author that sucked, that wasn't particularly well written, was very derivative. That's almost, no offense, that seems like kind of stating the obvious in a way. If you know what I mean. It's like books like that, they're probably my ignoring it, not talking about it is damaging enough versus me ranting about how I thought it was a crappy book. Versus if this was a well-known author, or hell, just an author who had gotten a publishing deal from a major company and, had tons of reviews and plenty of people had weighed in with their opinions. And it's like, I'd feel like I was kind of entering into a conversation and saying, well, I know I didn't like that book. Recently, an old review of mine of an Eden Robinson book, every once in a while I'll get comments, and some people will agree with me and some people will really disagree with me and basically, take issue that, that it's a book. She's actually someone who lives in British Columbia, a native author, and had some really interesting points in that book. But I also just found as what I kind of took as a genre book, I didn't like as much. And I've heard some people say well, that means you don't care about those issues if you didn't like the book. And it's like, okay, well, that's good. We can kind of have a conversation about that. And, different points are going to be more important to a different person. The metric of representation and stuff like that is going to maybe weigh more heavily with someone who might discount, that they didn't think that the story, like someone like me who's like, I had troubles with the story there, as much as I can remember, because it was an old review now. That's the other thing. People leave comments on old reviews and it's like, wow, did I say something like that? It's like, oh God, I don't want to watch my old review and find out what I said, but I don't remember what I said. Probably don't remember 5 minutes after I said it. But I'm comfortable leaving that review up and just sort of having that conversation. Whereas with this indie author, I'm not comfortable with it. It's just seems like it's a useless review. It was important for me to have my own little rant about it, but I'm going to keep that to myself. I don't know. An indie author might be like, no, I want someone to kick the shit out of me so I get a little bit of attention. And then, hey, maybe people who support me will argue vociferously with this guy and I'll get publicity for my book. Or they might go, yeah, shut the fuck up and don't bother me with my review. I think, you probably, I mean, as someone who is a crappy writer myself of fiction, have written a lot of crappy fiction. It's middle of NaNoWriMo at the moment, and I'm writing what is probably a poorly written derivative work myself. I have issues with the whole of my own self-criticism. kudos to this, as I always say, kudos to this indie author for putting his work out there, and letting the chips fly where they, land where they may. I also just might be an old crotchety reviewer in the sense that, like, I've read this book before, and I looked at the reviews on Goodreads, and it's like, other people obviously either hadn't read that book before or didn't treasure it like I did, because maybe they weren't 12 years old when they read that book for the first time. And maybe this is the book they would read, though I don't think, well, my personal opinion, this isn't the book that's going to probably be that book for them. So yeah, I just wanted to chat about that for a second, as that kind of idea of when you think a review is appropriate or not. Yeah, more videos later.